So in this class, we are going to discuss regarding level decomposition in the power system. So what is the hierarchy which is there in the SCADA system? We are going to discuss in this class. So actually, in India, entire power system is controlled by using a National Load Dispatch Center (NLDC), so which is there in New Delhi. It is there, which is controlling all the dispatching centers. So from these dispatching centers, the allocation of the load and the monitoring of the supply and demand will be done. So here, this National Load Dispatching Center will be there. Under this National Load Dispatching Center, so there are regional level dispatching centers existing. Northeast Regional Load Dispatching Center, Eastern Regional Load Dispatching Center, North Regional Dispatching Center, West Region Load Dispatching Center, and Southern Regional Dispatching Center. So Southern Regional Load Dispatching Center is at Bangalore, and West is at Mumbai, North is at New Delhi, and East is in Kolkata, and Northeast is in Shillong. So our Telangana and AP belongs to Southern Regional Load Dispatching Center, and this Telangana and AP is under controlling of SRLDC only, Bangalore. Like that, the load dispatching centers will be modified like this. So under National Load Dispatching Center, the regional level dispatching centers will be working, and under regional level dispatching centers, again there are state level dispatching centers are there. So in the state level dispatching centers, there are sub LDCs, main cities in the states, and under the main cities, again there are remote terminal units. Okay. So for example, if you take Telangana and AP, so these are two individual states, and these two states will be under controlling of Southern Regional Load Dispatching Center at Bangalore. And from this Bangalore, the commands will be taken from National Load Dispatching Centers. And each state will be having its own load dispatching center. So for example, for every state, there are power plants like national level power plants and state level power plants. For example, in Telangana, we are having NTPC Ramagundam and KTPP Bhupalpalli, KTPS Palvancha, like that. So under these, the central level projects will be monitored by the CPCC, and the state level projects are monitored by using state level dispatching centers, SLDC. Okay, so this CPCC is nothing but Central Project Coordination and Control Center. Central Project Coordination and Control Center. Okay, so for every state, if there are central power plants, that central power plants are controlled by using the CPCC, and state level power plants are controlled by using these SLDCs. Okay, is it clear? Now, the power plants which are controlled by central will be controlled by the CPCC dispatching center, and the state level power plants are controlled by using SLDC dispatching centers. And under these SLDC dispatching centers, there are, for example, in Telangana, there are Hyderabad and Warangal. For example, two cities are there. Then each load dispatching center is divided into sub LDCs. Sub LDC like some metropolitan cities in the state. Here in this example, we have taken New Delhi, and under New Delhi, there are five state levels are there. One is under North central plants. Another one is Jaipur, Lucknow, Shimla, and other states. Like, okay, under Lucknow, there are again cities like Modipuram, Moradabad, Panki, Sultanpur, and Varanasi. Okay, so under these, each section, there are certain remote terminal units like power plants. Remote terminal power plants are there. So these remote terminal power plants are controlled by sub LDC, and these sub LDC is controlled by SLDC, and this SLDC is controlled by regional level dispatching center, and all these regional level dispatching centers are controlled by using national level dispatching centers. Okay, so each dispatching center will be in communication with another load dispatching center only through national load dispatching center only. So it can be communicated through Western region load dispatching center only through national load dispatching center only. but not a direct connection. It is not having any direct connection. It cannot be communicated directly, but it can be communicated through national load dispatching center only. Like this, each and every load dispatching center will be communicated, and the supply and demand will be executed as per the requirement of the consumer. Okay, so this is the hierarchy of a load dispatching centers in a given SCADA system. So every dispatching center is controlled by using national load dispatching center. Under national load dispatching center, there are regional level dispatching centers, and under this regional level dispatching centers, there are state level dispatching centers. After that, area level dispatching centers. Then the site level dispatching center. Site is nothing but one plant. One plant can be called as a site or a remote terminal unit. Okay, so the generation and the supply, the generation of a plant is controlled by indirectly national load dispatching center via these sections. Okay, via these sections. So this is the hierarchy of a SCADA system. So here's few points are given here. So below national north region level dispatching centers, state level dispatching centers, and central project coordination and control center CPCC have been shown in the figure. The primary role of SLDC is to monitor, control, and coordinate the generation, transmission, as well as distribution of the power within the state while ensuring safety and continuity of its transmission and subtransmission of power networks. So this is very, very important. First point is safety. Safety is always important point. So the function of the primary role of SLDC, state level dispatching center, is to monitor and controlling of the generation and transmission as well as distribution among the plant with a safety and continuity of transmission. And CPCC coordinates with all the central sector projects of northern region such as NTPC, NHPC, Power Grid, and TEHRI, etc. So, as I said, CPCC is controlling or it is coordinating all the national level power plants like NTPCs. Okay. CPCC gets the data from central sector projects, and that data is added to the regional level. Based on the regional level, the data, the generation will be supplied. Okay. Each RLDC has the ability to exchange the data with other regional level dispatching centers as well as with the national load dispatching center. But direct data transmission does not take place between SLDCs of one state with other SLDC of another state, as I said earlier. So these SLDCs will share the data of another state SLDC, but it cannot be direct transmission of the data, but it can be transmitted through a regional level or a national load dispatching center. So this is a main hub. From this hub only the data will be shared among the load dispatching centers. After that, power system security. So what do you mean by power system security? Security is nothing but it is defined as the probability of the system operating point remains within acceptable ranges given the probabilities of changes in the system or contingencies. Contingencies are nothing but the disturbances. Okay. So as we have discussed already this regarding security in the CMPS subject. Okay. So stability is nothing but it is also the ability of the power system which can having the capable of supplying the maximum power without any disturbance. That is called as a stability. Here security is nothing but this is the ability of the system which can be supplying the required amount of power without disturbing the system. So without having any damage to the equipment. So how an equipment is going to be damaged? When the equipment is operated beyond its limits or below its limits. Okay. So the ranges of operating level is nothing but the rated values of a system, right? So any equipment, if it is operating with a rated value, then that equipment will be working as a satisfactorily. If any disturbances happen to the equipment, then then the equipment is going to be damaged. So we can say that the power system security, or we can define that it is the probability of the system's operating point remaining within acceptable ranges, or it can be under rated values given the probabilities of changes in the system contingencies. So contingencies is nothing but the disturbances. If there is any disturbance, then the equipment should not be disturbed. Okay, so that is the security of the power system security. Normal operating condition usually means that all the operators are running within their prescribed limits and all the system variables are within the acceptable ranges. Okay, so when the system is running under normal condition, is nothing but it is operating at its rated values. The system should also continue to operate normally even in case of credible contingencies. What do you mean by credible contingencies? So if any disturbance is happened, let us take if there is a sudden surge in the voltage, if it is operating around 240 volts instead of 230 volts, so it is a sudden surge and it will be around limited cycles that can be withstand by the system or that can be withstand by the equipment, then that contingency is called credible contingency. That means because of that contingency, the system may not lose its security. The system may not lose its security is called credible contingency. The surge will be there for few seconds, then it will be automatically disappears. So that can be called as a credible contingencies. The system should also continue to operate normally, even in the case of credible contingencies. So this is also very important point while you design the relay operation. So actually the function of the relay is to what? It has to sense the fault current or a fault voltage or a fault parameter, and it has to give the a signal to the circuit breaker so that the circuit breaker will be closing the contacts or opening the contacts depending upon the situation. But the relay should not give the signal always to the circuit breaker, even there is a minor contingency or a minor disturbance. Okay, it has to withstand for a few cycles, then it has to give the signal to circuit breaker. Because what happens if there is every equipment is designed such that if it is operating around 10 ampere, for example, the rated value of an equipment is 10 ampere, the rated current of an equipment is 10 ampere, then the system has been designed such a way that it has to withstand around 12 amperes or 13 amperes. Then only the rated value will be given as 10 amperes. Example I am saying. Okay. So if any surges are taken place, then the 10 ampere will become 12 ampere or 11 ampere. If you are setting your relay to 10 ampere only, because as per the nameplate details, if the rating of an equipment is 10 ampere, then what you will do as an engineer, you are going to set the value of circuit breaker as the 10 ampere time set. Okay, so you are going to set the relay signal as 10 ampere. If it is exceeding the 10 ampere, you are saying that the value of the parameter is going to be exceeding, it is going to operate beyond its rated value, then you are thinking that it has a fault, then you are setting the relay time as 10 ampere, the relay current as 10 ampere, setup current is 10 amperes. But if there is a minor surge or a minor disturbance is taken place, if the 10 ampere is becoming 11 ampere or 12 ampere, then your relay will be immediately giving the signal to the circuit breaker so that the circuit breaker immediately closes the contacts or opens the contact, then the supply will be interrupted. But whereas the surge or a disturbance is around a few cycles, and after that few cycles again it has been resumed. So for that, what happens here, your supply has been stopped because of a small disturbance. So it should not be happen. It should withstand for the small disturbances, even though it is continuously or consistently it is happening. If the disturbance is persisting continuously, then you should switch off or you should close the circuit breaker or you should open the circuit breaker. Okay, so the relay has to be set like that. For small disturbances, it should not activate. For long disturbance or for continuous disturbances, it should be giving the alarm to circuit breaker or it should give the signal to the circuit breaker. Okay, so even though for small disturbances, if the relay is giving indications, then your power system will not be continuous. Okay, so it will be leading to economical operation also. It is not an economic operation because of interruption in the power supply, you may lose your economy in the system. So the relay has to be set like that. So the point is given here. The system should also continue to operate. This is the point that I have explained so far. The system should also continue to operate normally, even in the case of credible contingencies. These are called credible contingencies. And in the switchgear protection, you are going to discuss all these things in the subject. The operator should foresee such contingencies and take preventive control actions as economical as possible, such that the system integrity and quality of power supply is maintained. Okay, the operator, the engineer who is there in the plant, he has to see the contingencies or disturbances, and he has to take the preventive actions to uh, to have the power supply in a continuous manner. Otherwise, if you are not taking the precautions, then what happens? The power supply may be disturbed or discontinued. Okay. Major components of security assessments. Okay, what are the major components to get the security means? Security power supply means, power system security means. There are three assessments. One is system monitoring, contingency analysis, preventive and corrective actions. Okay, so what do you mean by system monitoring? System monitoring means continuously observing the system parameters and making the note of the parameters, and you have to take all the readings or all the values of a particular equipment. So if there is a plant, a thermal power plant, what are the major parameters that we have to notice? First of all, boiler temperature. What is a boiler temperature? Around 540 degrees centigrade. So in that 540 degrees centigrade, 240 degrees centigrade is obtained from the flue gases, and 300 degrees centigrade is obtained from the boiler temperature. So cumulatively, the temperature of a boiler is 540 degrees centigrade, and pressure in the boiler and flow of the gases and mixture of the gases SOX and NOx, and temperature of the generator. Okay, so voltage of the generator, current of the generator, power of the generator, reactive power of the generator, the status of the circuit breakers, switches, transformers, taps. What is the tapping of a transformer, and what is the excitation level, excitation voltage, steam input. Okay, what is the coolant condenser temperature, what is the pressure in the condenser. So all this checklist you have to take. You have to monitor what is the frequency of the supply which is generated, what is the rotation of the generator, speed of the generator. Okay, so all the parameters that you have to monitor every time, each and every second you should monitor these parameters. You have to check these parameters, and you have to observe the parameters whether they are in the prescribed value or a rated value or not. If any parameter is violating its rated value, then you should take the preventive actions or corrective actions for the system. Okay, so here first point is system monitoring, and second point is contingency analysis. Third point is the preventive and corrective actions. Contingency analysis means what here? Once the current operating state is known, once if the temperature of the boiler is known, present temperature of the boiler is known, next is the contingency analysis. Results of this contingency analysis allows the system to be operated defensively, so to face the problem. Okay, major components of the contingency analysis are contingency definition, contingency selection, and contingency evaluation. So how the problem is going to become, and how the problem we have to what is the problem we have to consider for the major fault and a minor fault, and what is the effects of these faults when the fault is happened. So these three are the main 3 points in the contingency analysis. First one is the contingency definition, contingency selection, and contingency evaluation. Okay, and third one is the preventive and corrective actions. And what are the preventive action that you have taken for the generator or a plant to have the secure connection and all, and what are the corrective actions that you have taken? It is a third point. Okay, so you don't think this as a like a different subject in your power system, or it may be because it is a man-made system. Almost these things will be happen in our general life also. So I will explain with a general example which is running now. So this COVID-19 case is there. So first one, the India and entire world is under steady state condition. Each and every person is doing their own work, and nobody has disturbed to the persons, and every individual is having their own life, right? So once this COVID-19 enters into the state, or enters into the India or some other place. Example, I'm just taking India. Okay, so this is just example to understand the scenario of this contingency analysis and all. Okay, once COVID-19 case has been entered into the India. So what is that COVID-19 actually? It is a contingency. First of all, if one case is there, then what you have done? First of all, that you have been traced that contact case and the contact persons, and then you have to isolate them. Okay, for a quarantine time, or for a period of 28 days or 14 days. If you have taken that action, so first point is what here? You have been monitored. First point is monitored. System monitoring is nothing but you have been monitored all the persons who are coming from the airports or other countries. You have been monitored. Then second point, if any faulty person or a defective person came, you are going to analyze that person. That is called the contingency analysis. What is the contingency analysis here? Contingency definition, contingency selection, and contingency evaluation. Contingency definition means the person who is coming from the country. Depending upon that, you are defining the person. And contingency selection, and depending upon the temperature and symptoms, other symptoms, you are selecting that person as a COVID-19 patient. And after contingency evaluation, if you are confirmed with that person, then you are going to put him in a isolation center or a quarantine center. So that is your contingency analysis. Okay. And third one is what here? Preventive and corrective actions. So what you have to do for preventing that COVID-19 spread, and what are the corrective actions that you have to take? So how can you prevent that? By screening the airports, railway stations, and bus stations and all. And what are the corrective actions that you have taken? What are the corrective actions that you have taken? You have taken the decision as a lockdown period for around 1 month or 2 months. So that is your corrective actions. Okay. Is it clear my point now? So first one is the system monitoring. Second one is the contingency analysis. In that contingency analysis, how you are analyzing means by defining the contingency, selection of the contingency, and evaluation of this contingency. And third one is the preventive and corrective actions. What you have taken in the lockdown time, it is a corrective action. And preventive action is nothing but wearing the mask, and all these things are the preventive actions that you have taken. So this is your first step to get a secured environment. Is it correct? So in this power system also, finding a fault and evaluation of this fault and preventive and corrective actions that you have taken in the power system. So this is the first step. And what happens here? If you have taken these preventive and corrective actions, so if you have perfectly taken these preventive and corrective actions, such as using of the mask and staying at home and all these things, if you are taking these preventive and corrective actions, then what happens here? The problem will not appear once again. Is it correct? If you are failed to take necessary actions or necessary preventive actions or corrective actions, then what happens here again? The contingency will be repeated. So contingency will be repeated. Right. So here there are a few points. See, preventive and corrective actions are needed to maintain a secure operations of the system or to bring it to a secure operating state. Corrective actions such as switching of wear compensating devices, changing of transformer taps, and phase shifters, etc., are mainly automatic in nature and involve short duration. Preventive actions such as generation rescheduling involve longer time scales. Security constrained optimal power flow is an example of rescheduling the generation in the system in order to ensure a secure system operations. Okay, so corrective actions such as switching of wear compensating devices, changing the transformer taps, phase shifters are mainly automatic in nature. Automatically they are going to do by using automatic voltage regulators, AVRs. If there is a short of reactive power, then what happens? Generator automatically improves its excitation, and then it is going to meet the demand of reactive power. as changing of the transformer taps. If the output ratio, if the output voltage has been reduced or increased, then the transformer will be automatically changes its tapping position and all. Phase shifters or phase advancers to improve the power factor and all. So these are the preventive actions nowadays. It has been taken in an automatical manner. Okay. Is it understand all of you? I think. Here, small topic is there regarding various operational stages of the power system. So what are the operational stages of the power system means? First of all, normal operation state or a secure state. Same example also applicable for this case also. Normal stage of a normal operational stage or a secure operational stage, first of all. And after that, alert state will be coming. So second case is alert state. And third one is an emergency state. Emergency state. Okay. So when the system is under normal condition or normal state, then you need not to worry regarding the state of the system, right? When a contingency is taken place, a fault is taken place, then it will be like alarm state, which is going to indicate the coming problem. Alarm state. If you are failure to take certain preventive and corrective actions in the alarm state, then what happens here? There is an emergency state which is going to damage the system. So same thing that we have explained just now regarding this COVID-19 case. First one is a normal case or a secured state. After that, an alarm indication, an alarm state will be coming, right? Improvement of the cases in the entire India. So how it is going to improve and all these things. We have to take certain preventive and corrective actions. If you are failure to take these preventive and corrective actions, then this alarm state will be going to emergency state, which is going to fail the entire system. Okay, so the same thing you have been taken here. Even though it came to emergency state, by taking certain suitable measurements or suitable corrective actions, then you can bring back to alert state, and after taking certain precautionary states, then you can again bring back to normal state. Okay, so this is a three important stages in the power system. So here a pictorial representation is there. So normal state is there, and alert state, emergency state, and all these things we have been initiated here. So from alert state to emergency, and emergency to alert state, restorative state, extreme state, and after that normal state, and all these things. If preventive control actions do not succeed, a power system remains insecure or in the alert state. If a contingency occurs in the system, may go into the emergency state where overloading of equipment occurs. The system can still be intact and can be brought back to the alert state by emergency control actions like fault tripping, generator tripping, load tripping, HVDC power control, etc. If these measures do not work, integrated system operation becomes unavailable, and a major part of the system may be shut down due to equipment outages. Load shedding and islanding is necessary to prevent the spreading of the disturbances and total grid failure. The small power systems like islands are reconnected to restore the power system to normal state or a restorative control. A very simple concept here. When there is a fault, you should be taking certain preventive actions in an alert state. If the contingency occurs again continuously, then that may be leading to an emergency state where overloading of the equipments or overloading of the generators. Still, if you are not taking any action on it, then the grid may be collapsed. So in that case, what you are going to do in an emergency state, you have to take certain actions to bring from an emergency state to alert state. So what are the general things that you are going to do for bringing the emergency state to alert state is nothing but shedding of the or switching of the plants or shutdown of the plants or tripping of the load or disconnecting the load or HVDC power control load. All these are some measurement steps which are going to bring that emergency state to normal alert state. If these measures are also do not work, then integrated system operation becomes unavailable and a major part of the system may be shut down due to equipment outages. Then the grid may be collapsed. So integrating power supply may not be available there. So for emergency situations, like if the grid has been collapsed, then for example, like metro rails are there, metro trains are there, some underground trains are there. The people who are there in the metro or underground metro stations, then it will be a big problem to bring back the persons who are there in the metro trains or not. So for that, an islands are going to connect. So some islands are nothing but individual power plants which are not connected with the grid, and they are going to connect with the grid, and they are going to bring back from emergency